From a troubled teenager in Launceston to a stable leader of an Australian team in transition, Ricky Ponting's journey has been tremendous. While Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara caught the eye for sheer brilliance, Ponting marched from strength to strength, building up a cricketing CV that can compare with the best. And fittingly, he has been voted Player of the Decade by a Cricinfo jury. The foundation for Ponting's success has been an all-round batting prowess that has allowed him to play an attacking role in the pivotal number 3 position. Technically correct when playing down the ground, perfectly balanced when driving through the offside, and imperious when dismissing the short ball on either side of the pitch, Ponting's has been the most coveted Australian wicket for years now. His numbers in the last decade are almost overwhelming. The only real challenger to Tendulkar's statistical monuments, Ponting reeled off 32 Test hundreds in the noughties. In one-dayers, he was no less dominant with 23 hundreds, leading the team to wins in the 2003 and 2007 World Cups and the 2006 and 2009 Champions Trophies, all the while scoring crucial runs. In the 2003 World Cup final, his unbeaten 140 against India was an innings of such withering aggression that the opposition half-ceded the trophy before they had a chance to reply. In the 2007 tournament, Ponting had 1 century and 4 50s as a strong Australian team dominated the tournament before crushing Sri Lanka in a typically one-sided final. In 2003, Ponting averaged a staggering 100.20 in tests. He scored 3 double centuries that year, 1 in West Indies and 2 against India in Australia in a hard-fought test series. The first of the 2 double hundreds against India came in Adelaide, where he cut and pulled his way to a magnificent 242. But his innings was overshadowed by one of India's most remarkable come-from-behind test victories. Ponting then went on to become only the 5th player to score back-to-back double hundreds in tests as he made 257 at the MCG, an innings of superb stroke play married to control and patience, in the process storming to the top of the batting charts of 2003. It was in 2005, however, that the beginning of the end of an era of Australian dominance surfaced. The loss to Bangladesh at Sophia Gardens in Wales showed that the team was eminently beatable and that the retirement of influential cricketers was taking its toll. The 2005 Ashes will always be remembered for the poignant image of Andrew Flintoff consoling Brett Lee after a tied game, but the standout innings of the tournament came from Ponting. In the face of serious pressure, Ponting dug deep and produced a high-quality 156 to save the Old Trafford Test. It's another matter that Ponting would become the first Australian captain since Alan Border in 1986-87 to lose an Ashes series. The fallout of that loss would be tough to shake off. The dust only settled when Ponting led Australia to a 2-0 victory over South Africa at home. With 515 runs, Ponting was the top run-getter in the series, which also included a record-breaking run chase in the 3rd Test in Sydney, where Ponting became the first man to score hundreds in both innings of his 100th Test. His glorious unbeaten 143 in the 2nd innings anchored Australia's chase. The pain of the Ashes defeat to England was slightly numbed as Ponting then presided over a 5-0 whitewash against England at home. He was in the best form of his life, scoring 576 runs in the series at an average of over 80 and created a bit of history of his own. The clean sweep was the first in Ashes history in 86 years. In both 2005 and 2006, Ponting scored more than 1,000 test runs, but the strains of leading a team in transition began to show as Australia lost series to both India and South Africa in 2008-09. In terms of batting, Ponting has achieved plenty, becoming the 3rd Australian after Don Bradman and Greg Chappell to score 4 double hundreds and matching Sunil Gavaskar's achievement of scoring a century in each innings of a test thrice. But personal form and team success did not always coincide for Ponting. In 2009, he became the first Australian captain since Billy Murdoch to surrender the Ashes twice in England. However, that should not take the sheen off Ponting's contribution to Australian cricket. Former Australia captain Ian Chappell has observed that no other Australian captain has had to cope with the sheer turnover of very good players that Ponting has had to deal with. He has nevertheless featured in 73 winning tests for Australia in the last decade, in which he has averaged a staggering 65.71, almost 10 runs higher than his career average. As he approaches the end of a storied career, Ponting has a legacy that any of cricket's greats would be proud to own. As the man who led Australia during one of their finest eras, and as a batsman fit to be ranked among the best the game has produced. With Ranjit Shinde, this is Akhila Rangana for Cricinfo.
This is Cricinfo Talk.